You know, if you observe the process of change, it goes through a series of stages. Call it the W because it sort of has that sense of up and down, and it starts with this wake-up call. You know, a wake-up call, and that can come from the outside in or the inside out. It can come from some external change, your forced redundancy, retirement, an accident. You lose your money, you lose your health, you lose your partner. Something happens. Or it can come from the inside out, from some sort of emotional, psychological, or spiritual crisis. But either way, the equilibrium of your life changes. Something happens that you say, wow, things have changed. I was going along fine, as I thought. You know, you come to the end of a course. Like in my case, it was coming to the end of university, where I just had this great run up until then just the wheels fell off. No sense of who I was or what I was going to do, where I was going to go. Second stage tends to be the search. Boom, something's changed. I need to change. I need to do something different. I'm going on a search. It's fun. I'm on a search. I'm going to do a program. I'm going to go to UCD. I'm going to do the Creative and Innovation program because that's going to be positive. It's going to be energetic. You know, and it's only a bridge, so you can always go back. You can go back to your old life. You're not totally committed yet. At the edge of the search comes the struggle. And the struggle is always with yourself. And what happens, of course, is that, you know, you come to the edge of this and you think, oh, I've looked over, I don't want to, I'm going back. The struggle is always with yourself. It's with you having to deal with those underlying thoughts, feelings, beliefs, assumptions, self-images, early adaptations to life. Things that are rooted deep in your psyche that form who you are now and that they don't want to change. Bruce Lipton, in his book, The Biology of Beliefs, talks about how in the first 7 years of our lives, we download stuff from around family, community, culture, religion, generation, like our time in history. So for the rest of our lives, he says that almost 95% of our behavior is unconsciously motivated by this wiring. So if you combine that, what you're born with and what you're born into, that forms much of the internal operating system that you use to make meaning of the world, even as adults. And the only way of breaking that is to become aware, is to engage in self-reflection, introspection, you know, journaling, observation, developing your observer self of your own behavior. So if you go through this struggle, you know, and it's always represented as the coming out of a tunnel, you know, there's the darkest hour just before the dawn, all that kind of stuff. There's a sense of, you know, it's a breakthrough. There's a new sense of a self emerging, a new sense of alignment with the changed circumstances around you. I have a sense of, I have a new idea. I have an identity forming that's more aligned with a new direction that I want to go in. The final stage then is the integration and return home. And it's like this because once you've been on this journey, which is often a very lonely journey at times, and you may need help, friends, counseling, support, guides, mentors, whatever. Coming back is very difficult. You've been on the journey, you've made the change, you have a new sense of your identity emerging, and now you have to go back to your ordinary life, in your relationships with others. You know, they've kind of been used to you in a certain way, and you're saying, yeah, but I know I look the same, my temperament, my personality seems the same, but I've changed. I want to go, my attention is being drawn in a new direction. And you know, in the development world, there's this lovely story of, that illustrates this, of, it's typical kind of John and Mary. And John has been working out there in the world for 30 years. Mary's been at home, keeping the home, the family. John's coming back in, taking off his coat, putting up his hat, and he says, Mary, Mary, you were right. It's not all out there. And Mary passes John in the corridor, puts on her coat and her hat and says, the hell it is. You know? So there's this, when you come back from the journey, it's a very difficult integration process. Back into your ordinary life, into your ordinary relationships. You're the same, but you're different. How do you do that? How do you deal with that? Now there are the kind of stages that they seem to be archetypal. You know, you find them in all the mythical stories. You find them in all the great wisdom traditions, in the philosophy. You see them appearing in the great literature, in the great poetry. And of course, developmental psychology has discovered them in the last 50 years as if they never existed. You know, now you can't really say anything unless you've done a double-blind study that proves something, you know. But the mystics always knew this. Humans know this. They know this experience. There's no easy process to transition, to change. And you know, if the world changes, it's not so easy to say that you should change in response. You don't change, you have to transition, and that's a process. So I want to talk a little bit about that today, but I also want to get you talking a little bit, and perhaps you'd go into trios and just say, you know, just say to each other, you may have already done this exercise, but just say again, why am I on this program? You know, what is it about my life that I want to see to be better? Okay?